Well, hello there. Fancy meeting you. Hello, good morning, Dave the Grave Hunter. It's a pleasure to have you on Meet the, well, not archaeologist so much as geophysicist. Could you possibly explain what it is you do and, well, why am I interviewing you?
Good question. I do a lot of geophysics work in archaeology. Specifically, I'm known in Facebook as Dave the Grave Hunter. So a lot of my work is actually in cemeteries looking for unmarked graves.
Right, wonderful. So, and how do you go about locating these unmarked graves? I know there's quite a few people out there who'd be interested in understanding a bit more about this.
Well, the typical process is using ground penetrating radar, which sends radio waves into the ground, and then from that we can detect the disruption in the layering, the natural layering in the soils, caused by whenever you've dug a hole in the ground. So we're not actually detecting the coffin on the body as such directly. We're just seeing the hole in the ground that was dug and then backfilled.
Right, so it's almost like ripples in water.
Yeah.
But ripples in soil. I see. Okay, excellent. Well then, Dave, I hear interesting things about you wanting to go to space. Now, I'm very eager to hear more, and also, obviously, to hear how we can possibly help you achieve this goal. But tell us a bit about that. What is this space mission?
Well, there's a Dutch company called Mars One, and they'd like to establish a permanent Martian colony. And the idea will be that in 2022, in September, 4 astronauts will be blasting off, and in early 2023 they'll arrive on Mars and they'll take up permanent residence there.
I see. Okay, and I suppose that the natural question is, why do they need a geophysicist? Presumably, you're not expecting to find Martian graves.
Probably not. The primary purpose for someone with my skills, because I've got quite a diverse skill set, I've got experience in geochemistry and geomorphology and all this sort of training as a background to my work in geophysics. All of these skills are applicable to Mars because, for instance, you're going there, you need to have water sources for people to drink. You know, pretty basic living requirement. Geophysics and geomorphology and these sorts of skills are directly applicable to this sort of search. In the longer term, I mean, we are ultimately talking about permanently colonising another planet. You're going to need to have things being manufactured on Mars. And certainly these skills are good for prospecting for minerals as well, which would be used in this sort of constructing, this sort of manufacturing environment.
I see. Excellent. So I suppose some people would be asking, why are you so eager to leave Earth?
It's not so much that I'm eager to leave Earth. I mean, I've got an awful lot here in terms of family, and a pretty good life. But the thing about exploring space is that it's sort of it's a passion. It's like for me, I like to push the boundaries of anything, really, and certainly pushing the boundaries of human exploration is certainly an aspect of that. They often say you can't. I mean, I was brought up as an archaeologist. Well, I came from a history background, and I'd never really done maths in school or anything like that. Certainly not science. And they were all saying to me, all the lecturers at meetings, things like that. Oh no, you can't do that. You haven't got a physics background. You can't do this because you've got no idea. And so pretty much that sort of shaped my life is sticking it to the man sort of thing. Let's actually prove the people wrong. And there's a lot of people that say we just can't go to Mars, we can't colonize it. Well, we can if we put some effort into it.
I see. Wonderful. So, so it's in some ways it's the challenge and the fact that in many ways it sounds like you want to be a geophysicist on Mars because some people don't think it's necessary. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, I suppose how can people, if they're interested in helping to see you go to Mars, how can they possibly help out with this endeavour?
Well, the biggest thing people can do is go to the Mars One website, just Google it, and look at their website, read their mission plan, and then go out and tell other people that this is in the works. I mean, there's 80,000 people that have applied for it, I'm not the only one. And they're only going to take 4 the first one in the first trip. So the chances of my being picked are pretty slim. I would, being realistic here. The biggest thing that anyone can do, myself included, is to get the word out there and try and help the company Mars One actually raise enough funds to get this happening. So that's certainly that's the biggest thing that needs to be done.
Okay, so initially you would be happy simply to be involved in helping the mission to happen, not necessarily. Yeah. Okay, well, that's.
I mean, ultimately, I'd really like to.
Yeah.
But I'm still very more than happy to raise funds or get out there and talk publicly about it, or even be an advisor in the geophysics sense or something like that, wherever I can help out. Even if it's free, I do it as a hobby. It's such a cool thing to be doing, I think.
Yeah, excellent. Well, that's very admirable. Okay, well, what I'll do is I'll put some links to that stuff in the video information. So if people are interested, they can check that stuff out, and hopefully help spread the word. And I may even, possibly, if you're up for it, maybe put some of your contact details in there so people can contact you if they have any questions as well.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, wonderful. Now, just briefly coming back to Earth, can you just maybe just talk to some of the interested Archaeosupians about possibly a project that you've been involved in which you found particularly interesting as a geophysicist? I know that geophysics, in particular ground penetrating radar, isn't the most well understood aspect in particular of archaeological science. Is there anything in particular that you or a case study that you've worked on which you think is particularly interesting or rewarding?
The big one that I always go back to is a survey that I did at the Crosby, which is a small, well, it's a small town now, but back in the 1800s-ish, I don't know the exact dates, but certainly the later half of the 19th century. It was a gold mining town. And there was a lot of burials that occurred in the area because a lot of people migrated to Australia in this era and basically sold up everything they had and poured as much money as they had into the hope that they would be able to find gold and strike rich. Most of them, of course, didn't find anything and ended up dying poor. And so they didn't have enough money to have headstones. And hence there's a lot of unmarked graves in the whole region, between Ballarat and Bendigo in Victoria, Australia here. And the fun that I had at Crosby was, this was one of my earlier surveys. I think it was my third commercial survey. We covered this area with just about every geophysical technique you can think of. We did magnetometry, resistivity, radar, electrical conductivity, magnetic susceptibility, metal detecting, and near-infrared photography I tried as well. Oh, and air photos we looked at as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we certainly threw everything we had at it. And we knew that there was the possibility of the old house which belonged to the cemetery keeper back in the late, I think it was demolished in the 1940s. Don't quote me on that, but anyway. So we knew that there was this house that might have been in the area as well, within the survey area. We didn't actually pick up the house because it was just outside the area, as we later found out. But what the geophysics showed was a whole heap of, there was a channel, like a small ditch, which was presumably cut by rainwater, and all of these artefacts running downhill, down this stream. And we could see that in the radar data. And you could see the channels in all the other data sets as well, all these drainage channels. but also you could also see hundreds of graves everywhere, and all sorts of historical archaeology features.
Mm.
And then they excavated it. That was the first and only survey that they've actually done a proper excavation on.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I found was there and nothing else. So yeah, I was very happy with that one.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you got a bit of satisfaction out of being able to accurately interpret that data, then, presumably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
And it was a very good indication that the last 5 years of practicing on my own and building my own equipment, which I've done.
Yeah.
Long story that one, but it was reassuring, certainly, that I knew what I was talking about, rather than just faking.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, I have to say, actually, in some of the archaeology workshops that I do, there's a moment when I'm talking about geophysics, and there's a slide comes up where there's a guy contemplating a Jackson Pollock painting. And sometimes it feels like the specialists who deal with this interpretation, they're able to read that meaning, whereas some of us are just going, what is that?
Okay.
So it must be very, very, very rewarding to get it right, definitely. I suppose, well, just one final question, I'm just because I'm curious, actually. What is that stuff behind your head on the wall there? The maps?
In Victoria here, I don't know what you can see. I'm just trying to see my own image on the Skype thing. There is maps, yes, good. Okay, these two maps. In Victoria here, we've got the local Aboriginal tribes have their own registered parties.
Mm-hmm.
They're registered Aboriginal parties, and they have a claim over a specific area of land within Victoria and certainly the rest of Australia. The top map is just a map of the current ones. The bottom one is what's currently about to be approved before the
Right.
whatever council it is. I should know that, but I don't. On the other side of me, of the wardrobe behind me, this is because I also do some work in farms looking for the depth to bedrock and that sort of thing. Because the thickness of the soil layer above bedrock will determine obviously how far deep the crop roots will be able to grow, and therefore the moisture they can grow up.
Mm-hmm.
So the shallower, if the bedrock is particularly shallow, then there's less possibility of it getting water in, and therefore you have less yield from your crops.
Yeah.
So that's something that I do with the radar.
Wonderful.
This particular map just shows where a bug called phylloxera is within Victoria, because it's a particularly bad bug that will get in and eat everything. So every time we go onto site in these areas, we have to completely wash everything and with steam and make sure that we kill anything that might be on our car tires or on the bottom of the radar and that sort of thing, or on our boots.
Right.
So yeah, that's what that map is for.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Well, thank you very much for satisfying my curiosity there. Well, Dave the Grave Hunter, or Dave Hunter, thank you very much for your time this morning, or rather this evening for you, of course. I will definitely put those links in the video information so people can check them out, and hopefully people may even have some questions for you of their own, so you may even receive a couple of emails. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you very much for that, Mike, and live long and prosper.
Cheers.